Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Nevada Commission on Ethics. I would like to go and start with roll call. Chair Wallen here. Vice Chair Dufferin.
Present.
Commissioner Grunwald. Present. Commissioner Towler.
Present.
Commissioner Oscarson.
Present.
Commissioner Lowry. Okay, please mark her as absent. And then Commissioner Sheets. Please mark him absent as well. For staff, Commission Counsel Chase. Here. Executive Director Armstrong. Here. Associate Counsel Bassett. Here. Senior Legal Researcher Hayden. Is she on
Here.
Zoom? Okay, I don't see her. All right. Okay. And Executive Assistant Pedroza. Here.
And Chair
This time we will
Wallen,
do oh,
Commissioner Yen is
sorry.
also present.
Yes, sorry. I skipped down to there, so sorry about that. All right, let's go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, at this time, item number 2, public comment. I'd like to ask the Executive Director if there's any members of the public here.
There are no members of the public here. We have not received any written comment before the meeting, and I will defer to Executive Assistant Pedroza if there's any members of the public on Zoom.
We have no members of the public in attendance on Zoom.
All righty. At this time, I would like to go and go to item number 3, approval of the October 19th Commission minutes. Commissioner Sheets did not attend the October meeting, so he would not be able to participate if he does join us. All of the other commissioners may participate. I'd like to call the item and ask if there's any additions or changes to the minutes. I just have one comment where Vice Chair Dufferin noted one correction in the September meeting minutes. Should we put what that correction was in the minutes?
This is Tracy Chase, Commission Counsel. Yes, that would be appropriate, and we'll make that correction.
All right. Seeing no other corrections, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
This
I
is
move
Commissioner
to,
Yen.
All right,
I'll move.
Commissioner.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is discussion and approval of proposed stipulation concerning consolidated ethics complaint numbers 22-033C and 22-034C regarding John Wesley Prudent, former treasurer, Nye County, state of Nevada. Vice Chair Dufferin will be presiding as I served on the review panel. At this time, I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Dufferin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you've read that item, that was item number 4 into the record. Proper notice has been provided and waivers have been received for consolidated ethics cases. Ethics case numbers 22-033C and 22-034C for Mr. Prudent. Am I pronouncing that properly? I think that's correct. If I'm not, please correct me. He's the former treasurer of Nye County. Further, the members of the review panel, Chair Wallen and Commissioners Lowry and Towler may not participate on the consideration of this proposed stipulation pursuant to NRS 281A.220 subsection 4. All other commissioners may participate and vote on this matter. So at this time, I would like to have the counsel for the parties identify themselves and their clients for the record. We'll start with Associate Counsel Bassett.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Elizabeth Bassett, Associate Counsel for the Commission and the Attorney for Executive Director.
And Mr. Bear.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the Commission. My name is Rob Bear.
it really has been my honor and privilege to represent the former treasurer of Nye County, John Prudent, who, as you can see, is also present via Zoom.
Great, thank you. Let's start with the Associate Counsel's presentation and overview of the proposed stipulation.
Thank you, Vice Chair Duffrin, for the complaints in cases numbers 22-033C and 22-034C allege that Mr. Prudent, who is the former Nye County Treasurer, performed classwork to obtain his Master of Business Administration during the Treasurer Office's work hours, and that he requested assistance with classwork from subordinates in his office on several occasions. The Commission directed the Executive Director to investigate these claims, and that Mr. Prudent violated NRS 281-400 subsections 2, 7, and 9. Mr. Prudent submitted a response to the complaint. He denied the allegations, arguing that any use of the Treasurer's office work hours was de minimis and took place only after he had completed all of his elected treasurer duties. As to the allegations regarding requesting assistance from his subordinates, Mr. Prudent argued that his subordinates didn't have the qualifications to assist him with his MBA homework, and that any assistance they provided was offered and not requested. He noted, and the investigation confirmed, that he did not use any treasurer's office equipment when working on classwork, but that he brought in his own laptop and logged in from his own data hotspot. A review panel determined that just and sufficient cause existed for the Commission to render an opinion regarding the allegations that Mr. Prudent violated the ethics law, and in lieu of an adjudicatory hearing, Mr. Prudent and the Executive Director have entered into the proposed stipulated agreement before you today. The terms of that agreement are that the allegations against Mr. Prudent that he violated NRS 281 subsections 2 and 9 will be dismissed. Mr. Prudent will agree to stipulate to one non-willful violation of NRS 281-400 subsection 7, which prohibits the use of government time, property, equipment, or other facility to benefit a significant personal pecuniary interest of the public officer. The mitigating factors that we found were present in this matter that the Executive Director and I believe make a non-willful violation appropriate are as follows. Mr. Prudent was diligent to use his personal equipment to attend to his courses. Mr. Prudent has not previously been the subject of any violations of the ethics law or previous ethics complaints. Mr. Prudent was diligent to cooperate with and participate in our investigation and resolution of this matter. Mr. Prudent's willingness to engage in the process has resulted in his better understanding of Nevada ethics laws and how his actions were improper in this matter. Mr. Prudent did not receive any financial benefit from his actions that would need to be paid back in restitution. And Mr. Prudent did not receive any direct financial gain as a result of his violation of the ethics law. As part of the agreement, Mr. Prudent will also complete ethics training approved by the Commission's Executive Director within 60 days of approval of the agreement. Given the information obtained in the investigation of this matter and the mitigating factors discussed, the Executive Director and I believe the terms of the stipulated agreement are in fact appropriate. We'd like to thank Mr. Prudent and his counsel in this matter, Mr. Bear, who has been a pleasure to work with, for their cooperation and patience in the investigation and the resolution of this matter. I'm happy to answer any questions that any commissioners might have.
Before we do that, I just want to make sure there's nothing that needs to be added. Mr. Bear, was that a fair summary of what the case entailed and the resolution? If so, do you have anything else to add?
Well, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and members of the Commission again. That was a fair recitation. And just briefly, there are a couple things I'd like to say. You know, if you look at my career path over the last 33 and a half years as an attorney, you'll see that for 17 of those years, I was the chief lawyer for the State Bar of Nevada, known as the Bar Counsel for the State Bar. And so I am very familiar, at least philosophically, with the role that Elizabeth or Liz Bassett played in this case. In other words, I was the chief prosecutor for the State Bar dealing with attorney discipline cases for 17 years, trusted by the Supreme Court to do that. When I was a district judge for 10 years here in Clark County, part of the process was to add up all the cases I did over those years at the State Bar. And it turned out it was 870. I had no idea it was that many cases that I did for those 17 years. I mentioned that because I want to say respectfully, that gives me a basis to be familiar with this process in a general sense. This is my first time in front of the Nevada Commission on Ethics, but dealing with the state bar disciplinary panels for all those years is very similar, at least in nature philosophically. I say all this because I just want to take a moment to indicate, after running that office at the state bar for 17 years, hiring and having 30 some employees there over that time period, I want to say it was an absolute true professional pleasure to deal with this commission through its staff. And I appreciate what Liz said about me, but I really want to say right back at you. I could not have asked for more professionalism, understanding, true working with the commission and with me and Mr. Prudhomme. I know Liz talked with the witnesses. She was amenable to discussions and emails. John, Mr. Prudhomme and I put together some documentary evidence for her to consider. She did consider that. I know that Mr. Armstrong, the executive director, did that too. And all of this resulted in what we have in front of you that we both mutually, of course, would ask you to approve. And that is this proposed stipulated agreement. But again, I just want to make sure I take a moment to say, Liz, you were great. And I think you do a great job. And I think the commission ought to be real proud of you. Anyway, I'm here to answer any questions the commission may have. And Mr. Prudhomme, as you can see, is here. And he wanted to be here. He stands ready likewise to answer any questions posed by the commission, Ms. Bassett, or really anyone else relevant to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those comments, Mr. Bear. We truly appreciate the feedback, and we don't always get a lot of feedback. And as one commission member, I really appreciate that. And my perception too is the same as yours with our staff. So I appreciate those comments. I also do appreciate Mr. Prudhomme attending this morning. So thank you. Having said that, do any commissioners have any concerns or questions at this time? Hearing or seeing none, I am actually ready for a motion.
Barbara Grunwald.
Commissioner Grunwald.
I move to approve the proposed stipulation for subject Prudhomme in consolidated case numbers 22-033C and 22-034C, and authorize Commission Counsel to finalize the legal form of the stipulation and other matters relating thereto.
Do I have a second?
This is Commissioner Yen. I second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously for those commissioners that are allowed to vote on that. Once again, the Teresa Lowry, Commissioner Lowry, Commissioner Towler, and Chair Wallen are not allowed to participate as they were on the review panel, nor did they vote on this matter. So I believe that concludes the matter. And I once again thank all parties involved and appreciate once again, Mr. Prudhomme attending, and good luck with all your endeavors in the future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Chair Wallen, back to item number 5, I believe.
Right. Right, thank you. Item 5, delegation of certain commission council duties to Elizabeth Bassett, Associate Counsel in advisory opinions and certain other matters in which she does not have a conflict of interest or which she is precluded from participation under NRS 233B.122, and authority for the chair to emergency appoint Elizabeth Bassett to the commission counsel position pending the permanent appointment of an applicant for the position in the event such appointment is needed to maintain the operations of the commission. At this time, I would like to ask if there are any disclosures.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Tracy Chase, Commission Counsel. I just want to put in the record because I will be retiring on December 12th. Previously, when I put in my retirement paperwork, I offered to the commission to do a critical shortage if needed, if there was an inability to have someone fill the position. Previous to this hearing and previous to today, I withdrew that consideration because I wanted to be in the position to provide legal advice to you about the process and about proper ways on delegating duties of the commission counsel position in order to protect you from any potential litigation. So I wanted to put on the record, I have no interest in this matter, and I will be participating in providing you legal advice.
Right, thank you. Any other additional disclosures? Okay. At this time, I would like to ask the Executive Director Armstrong for his presentation on this matter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Executive Director Armstrong. Items 5 and really the next item 2 are about making sure that the commission we're able to operate during any gap in having a commission counsel appointment, and then to protect the commission as well. And so in your materials, what we did was we took the commission counsel specific job duties that the commission had approved and identified certain areas where the delegation of duties for commission counsel to Ms. Bassett is allowed, and there's no issues or conflicts, and then those that would probably need us to find different counsel, whether that be asking the AG's office or some other method of obtaining counsel. And so what you can see is that in general, duties related to advisory opinions, regulatory matters, jurisdictional determinations, that process, there are no conflicts, and those would be the duties appropriate to delegate to Ms. Bassett. There are issues once we hit the adjudicatory phase of ethics complaints and then any litigation where we would need to acquire different counsel. And so we've had some good conversations with the AG's office that we can talk about in the next agenda item. But in particular for this agenda item, it would be us delegating those duties that are outlined, particularly in statute, right? There are some, especially with advisory opinions and jurisdictional determinations where the law requires the executive director to get with the commission counsel and be on the same page and come to an agreement in making those recommendations. It would allow Ms. Bassett to do that in the gap of having a commission counsel. And then those items where we've identified it would not be appropriate litigation and the adjudicatory phase, or at least where it would be safest to go with a different counsel to do that. So this item is really about making sure that those items that Ms. Bassett can do on behalf of the commission counsel are able to be done, and you have given her the authority to do so in the absence of a commission counsel.
Commission counsel.
Thank you. I just want to put on the record, the concern here is NRS 233B-122, and that prohibits any agency member who acts as an investigator or a prosecutor in a contested case to take part in the adjudication of the case. In looking at my duties and coordinating with the executive director, it is my recommendation that the commission counsel does have certain adjudicatory duties for you. And that's why we are recommending that anything relating to adjudication or litigation would be basically, we would obtain conflict counsel, either the Attorney General's office, or you do have the ability to select an attorney of your choice as a retainer. Some ideas of why my duties relate to adjudication is I set discovery deadlines for you and hearing dates for you. I set scheduling orders and I detail filing and service requirements. I consider and determine the rules and I actually rule on motions for continuances, which is an adjudicatory matter. I represent the commission in subpoenas, hearings, motions, evidentiary matters, and I prepare all your orders and opinions of the commission. In order to protect this body, the integrity of the process, and your staff, including Executive Director Armstrong and Ms. Bassett from challenge, it's proper to make sure there's maintained proper separation of the adjudication and the litigation of these duties from those who are investigating cases.
Thank you. All right, fellow commissioners, questions of either the executive director or commission counsel on this matter here?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Vice Chair.
I don't really have any questions. I just want to make a comment that I know that the executive director and associate counsel and commission counsel have all gotten together and and talked about exactly what the roles would be. And I wasn't initially comfortable with how we were going to do this, just because I wasn't privy to those conversations, and the materials that were submitted to the commission helped alleviate any concerns that I had. I think that this is something that we need to do, and moving forward, hopefully we can. I know we have a scheduled personnel subcommittee coming up, and I know we have some applicants for the commission council position. So I'm hopeful that we might be able to hire somebody, but in the event we don't, and in the event that we do need somebody in this role, I think we have a good game plan going forward. And I think this item actually, and the item following this item, answers those questions and concerns that I had. So I'm comfortable moving forward with this item. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Vice Chair Dufferin. No other comments? Okay, questions? All right. Commission Council.
Actually,
Commissioner Oscarson, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to echo the comments of Vice Chair Dufferin. I am very pleased that they've got together and worked through this process, and appreciate the work that staff do that. Confident that individuals that will be working together with the council, with the commission, will represent us well. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Commission Council.
yeah, Tracy Chase, Commission Counsel. I just wanted to put on the record also, we do have a regulation, Chair Wallen, that provides you the authority to delegate work of the commission appropriately to members of your staff. So if something comes up in the future, and there's a question, you could seek legal advice from the Attorney General's office if there was a concern about the delegation, or you do have the ability to make sure that delegation is proper if there's a question about any of the actual duties that come up. So there is a whole process in place that should protect the commission and its staff.
Thank you. Yes, I was glad to see the Commission Counsel, Associate Counsel, Executive Director work on this to come up with a solution so we keep that separation of duties that's so important for this commission. So I think this is a good solution as well. With that being said, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner-
go ahead, Commissioner Yan.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dufferin. I move to approve the request to provide, excuse me, for the delegation of authority that was discussed with Associate Counsel Bassett taking over the Commission Counsel roles as discussed herein.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carried. Next item is item 6, authority for the chair or vice chair of the commission to request on behalf of the commission that the Attorney General's office provide interim commission counsel services pending filling of the vacancy, and authority for the executive director to research and provide other options for legal providers for the commission's consideration. At this time, I'd like to ask if there are any disclosures.
Madam Chair, Commission Counsel, I have a disclosure. My disclosure is when I provided my notice of retirement, I offered at that time to serve in a capacity after retirement in a critical shortage position. But in order to represent the commission on the transition process, I felt it appropriate to withdraw that offer so there would be no specter of conflict in providing legal advice to protect this commission and its staff. That being said, I have no pecuniary interest in this item, and I will provide legal advice and participate on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commission Counsel Chase. Any other disclosures? All right, at this time, I will call on our Executive Director Armstrong to make his presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Executive Director Armstrong. So item 6 basically allows us to ask for assistance from the Attorney General's office. Well, it delegates from the commission to the chair or vice chair the ability to ask from the AG's office to help us in those situations where the duties have not been delegated to Liz. So for example, Ms. Chase could retire and the next day we could get sued and we would need to get legal counsel quickly. And so rather than have to notice a full meeting and have the entire commission, wait the open meeting law days and then do a official vote, this would delegate it to the chair and vice chair. We have been in contact with the Attorney General's office to understand the process. The Commission on Ethics is already in their system set up as a client. And so all that would need to occur at that point, if this authority is delegated today, would be a letter from the chair or vice chair to the Attorney General's office identifying the matter that they'd be requesting representation on, and then they would represent us. The way that it would work with the Attorney General's office financially is that we're set at a particular cost allocation, and so they would track the hours they spent serving us, and then they have like a multi-year average that then goes into a future legislative item. So we wouldn't need to find the funding out of our current funding to pay for those attorney hours. They have a system set up over different legislative sessions to determine what that charge might be. And so this item, again, really just delegates the ability to send that letter. So you don't need to have a full commission meeting to approve and write that letter. The chair or vice chair can do it on the commission's behalf.
Commission Counsel Chase.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to put on the record pursuant to NRS 228091, it will provide authority for this commission as indicated by the executive director to request the services of the Attorney General's office. In our communications with them and pursuant to the statute, a really good reason to have this delegation is because to comply with the statute and the request, we have to list each item that you would be requesting services for. So it would be case number, litigation matter, open meeting law, support, whatever those three areas would be for specific meetings. But we can prepare those ahead of time so that the chair or vice chair, in your absence, Madam Chair, can send out those requests. They're anticipating, and we let them know that, as the vice chair indicated, we do have some upcoming considerations on selecting the commission counsel position. And they felt like if we provided them notice sometime after that in December, that would be sufficient time to start representing this board.
Thank you. Fellow commissioners, comments, questions of either the executive director or Commission Counsel Chase?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just had a follow-up question for Executive Director Armstrong. Regarding, you mentioned the cost in our budget. So I just want to make sure I understand that we do or don't have funds in our budget to handle this, because once again, we're not going to know what the total will be. So I don't know how we would have funds like that in our budget.
My understanding of the process in chatting with the Attorney General's office is they provide the services. Having worked at the Attorney General's office, they have a billing system like private attorneys where you bill your hours, even though it doesn't, in most cases, most agencies have a flat rate that they pay. And so for us, they would track the hours they spent working for us. And in the next legislative session, as part of the budget building process, they would submit what that bill might be. In the past, because I think they take an average over multiple biennium, in the past, they found a case that they worked on about 10 years ago, I think. And what happened was we had services in one biennium, and then we didn't have any in the next. And then so we were actually, I don't think, ever charged for those services in the one biennium. So we don't have to worry about the authority in our current budget to spend the money on what they might come with an assessment on later.
So in this current fiscal year, when this cost is incurred, we wouldn't have to go to the interim finance committee or to seek approval for the additional funds to pay that. It gets somehow paid in some future budget.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Yeah, that was my understanding. It's we're assessed a fee already, and if we go over that, then in the next session, then they go and say, okay, we need to charge more, even though we might not use them. So
Makes sense.
okay, all right. I will entertain a motion if I don't see any other comments or questions from my fellow commissioners to approve the request to provide authority to the chair and vice chair as indicated to contact the Attorney General's office for any services needed.
Commissioner Grunwald, I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, thank you. Next item, item 7, the Executive Director's Agency Status Report. Executive Director Armstrong, please proceed.
Good morning. My report, written report is submitted for you under agenda item 7. To start with education and outreach, we're focusing on just some education for newly elected officers this month on our social media. So this week we have 5 tips for new elected officers that are being pushed out each, 1 tip each day. And we've scheduled some what I'm calling briefings, which will be short 30-minute opportunities for them to connect with us on Zoom. So I can tell them, yes, the ethics law applies to you. Yes, you have to fill out an acknowledgement by the 15th of January, and here's some basics, and ask for more resources. So that has been sent to both the Nevada Association of Counties and the League of Cities and Municipalities for them to send to their members if they are interested in that opportunity, and we'll be promoting that as well. I had the opportunity to teach at the Association of School Boards last Friday afternoon up in Lake Tahoe. They actually, that association had a newly elected board member track, and that my class was like a required part of that track. So we had about 40 new school board members get some ethics education last Friday, which was great. We have a Lander County presentation on December 13th, and the Golconda, since we submitted the reports, an agency in Golconda has also asked for training, so we'll do that the next day. And we have post-election requests from Washoe County and the city of Las Vegas that will be in December and January. For our online learning system, our request for the sole source contract was not approved, and so we're working on doing our own RFP, working with the purchasing office to go through that process. So progress. I think that whole process will take about 30 to 60 days for the RFP process between setting it out and reviewing it. And so I will be reaching out to the chair to see if there's a commissioner who would like to sit on the RFP review team for that, because we have to have 2 people from our agency and 1 person from outside our agency on that review panel. So I guess if there's any commissioners that would be interested in sitting on that contract review to chat with the chair. For our legislative update, there's also attached our ongoing spreadsheet, and when the legislative session gets going, I'll send out an information only kind of legislative update to the commissioners weekly, but you can see the bills that we are tracking. It says last check through BDR 469, so this was submitted last week. We've now checked through 493. There are no new BDRs there that we need to take a look at. Our ethics bill will be pre-filed today. Today is their deadline for pre-filing, and so they sent that. The chair and commission counsel and I reviewed those, and there were no big controversies between what we submitted and what they provided. So things are looking good on that. We know now that who will be in charge, mostly at the legislature. We're still waiting to see who will be the Speaker of the Assembly, but we'll start to form our legislative strategy now that we know what the election results look like. Specifically, one of the things I'll be looking for in the next couple of weeks is they'll assign committee members, and so we'll find out who the chair of the Legislative Operations and Elections Committee is. That's where our matters are generally heard. And so we'll see who they appoint and who becomes chair of those committees. We did get a bunch of we got copies of our annual report printed, and so we'll have those for each of those committee members to deliver upon the start of the legislative session. It's not on the written report because there was no new news until I think late last week, but for our budget building process, one of the things that was in items for special consideration, which is sort of like you're lucky if you get that category, was a travel restoration, because our travel budget was built on like a COVID year. So they were like, you didn't spend any of your travel money, so you don't need that travel money. And so I said, well, we do, but now we're emerging from COVID. And so we got word that enhancement has moved from items from special consideration and has been adjusted in our base budget. So there won't even be a decision unit piece of that. So that was good news on the budget front this week. And then the commission council hiring update. We had the items today. We set November 11th as a deadline, and we got some new applications On the November 30th, we'll have the subcommittee for interviews, and we've targeted December 8th for a meeting to potentially appoint a new commission council. And then we discussed the assistance from the Attorney General's office. So that is it for my executive director's report.
Fellow commissioners, questions on the report? Comments? I just want to say thank you for, it's great that people, organizations, agencies, departments are coming to you to get training. I think that's great. That's what we're all about. We want people to be trained so they don't end up before us when it could have been prevented. So thank you for keeping up the good work. And I think the social media outreach has been good as well. I think it's bringing it to their attention and stuff. So thank you so much for that. And Commissioner Oscarson?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to say I did receive a call, I think late last month after our meeting, in regards to an issue that a public body had, a county commission. I obviously made reference and gave them Mr. Armstrong's number to speak with. They made communication that morning, I think within an hour, and had that item resolved, and the commissioner involved called me back and let me know how appreciative he was that we were so responsive, and that Mr. Armstrong had responded to his needs and concerns in that timely a manner. He was very appreciative of that. So I wanted to go on record that it's clearly evident that Mr. Armstrong and the rest of our staff are responding to the needs of the constituents, and especially the elected bodies, in a manner that's consistent with how we would like to have it happen.
Thank you, Commissioner Oscarson, for your comments. I feel that our staff is very responsive to everybody. And we're actually getting more media requests than we've had in the past too, and we're very responsive to those. And so I want to applaud the entire staff, because it's not just our executive director. He can't do it without all the rest of them. So I want to applaud them all for all their great work and effort. And Associate Counsel Bassett, you got an extra kudos today, so congratulations. Right. Seeing no further comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Executive Director's Agency Status Report as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, item 8, discussion of the ongoing commission branding project, including possible direction to the executive director on branding and logo design development. Executive Director Armstrong, please make your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If you recall, we had a robust and good discussion at our last meeting about a direction to go for a logo. And so we took that feedback and have arrived on the 3 variations that are in your materials. So I'll just kind of talk about the differences between them, and then feedback and discussion, and hopefully a choice on one, and we'll be able to move forward on that. What is logo 1, we called the large Nevada with sunburst. So this one has the Nevada going outside the inner circle and overlapping a little bit. And one of the things on the logo design last time that folks thought was kind of weird was that feathery shield thing behind the state, and we wanted the county lines, I think, also on the state. And so just a plain background looked, I don't know, not as great. And so we thought of really stealing Oakland sunburst that's behind their logo. And so the first one has that large Nevada and the sunburst behind it, and then we asked for some variations where Nevada was completely straightened down and completely inside that inner circle, which you see in 2 and 3. And then I also asked for some color variations so we could take a look at what those look like. So that logo 2 has a more yellow to the sunburst, and 3 has more of a golden tint to the sunburst. So I guess the feedback and direction I would be looking for is, do you like the Nevada completely within or overlapping one of those lines? And then is there a which background, 1, 2, or 3 do you like best? And then from there, I can complete this logo project.
All right, thank you. I'm going to go commissioner by commissioner to give you feedback. All right, so I will start with Commissioner Grunwald. And let's hear your thoughts. Which one do you like, or comments?
I like logo 3 because it incorporates the other 2, but it's got the 2 stars on the side that are darker, and I like that.
Right, Commissioner Yin.
Lost my mute button there. I agree with Commissioner Grunwald. I like 2 or I would be fine with either 2 or 3. If we did 2, I would make like the yellow stars a little darker, but I would go with either one of those.
Right, Commissioner Towler.
Well, I don't like number 1. I'll just say that. So that leaves 2 or 3. I'm looking at the flag right now because I like 2 and 3. The problem I have with 2 is it makes me think of like Arizona, the Arizona flag a little bit with I think it's yellow and red and, it's kind of a sunburst. It looks like the flag in Nevada is kind of between golds and yellow, but so, I mean, either one of those is fine. I think I'd probably lean towards 3 because it is a little more unique than other things that are out there.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Oscarson.
I'm sure I will agree that I like the logo 3 the best.
Any changes you'd like to see made with it or anything?
No, ma'am, I think the colors are good. I think it's clear. I like the state inside of the circle. I think it says exactly what we want to say, identifying the counties as they are. I think it's an outstanding job, and I think it'd be a great logo to represent us.
Thank you. Vice Chair Dufferin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with all the other commissioners that item or logo number 3 probably best represents what we're trying to go for. I liked 2 and 3 as well, and I agreed with Commissioner Towler that I did not like the one with the Nevada kind of hanging outside the circle, at least the Clark County part. Anyway, and I thank you for putting the 17 counties and outlining those. I think that's important since the 17 counties contribute to our budget, and we also train all 17 counties, or at least we're available to train those folks. And it just represents the entire state. I too, like Commissioner Towler, wasn't super happy with, I shouldn't say happy, but just I kind of thought the gold, it doesn't really look gold on the item number 3. So I don't know if we can make that even more gold, or even once again, if we want to make it the yellow that's on the Battleborn, which is on our flag. Once again, I don't really have a concern one way or the other. Whatever everybody else is happy with, that's fine. But once again, just wanted to thank staff for going through this, and everybody else going through this exercise. This particular logo will be here probably for a long time until somebody decides to change it. So it looks like it's done everything we've wanted it to do, and it represents us well moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dufferin. I too, like Commissioner Towler, I do not like number 1 at all. I kind of like number 2 because I was thinking of sunshine and light, but after listening to Commissioner Towler's comments, I agree it's more like the Arizona flag, and we don't want to do that. And I'll echo Vice Chair Dufferin's comments on number 3. If we can maybe make the colors a little more golden and not so, it looks bronze to me, So, but I think great job that you've been doing on this, and whoever it is that's been helping you. This is great. I'm surprised that we got it done so quickly. Most times things like this seem to take forever and ever and ever. And I also want to thank my fellow commissioners for giving us feedback and input on this, because it's important. Vice Chair Duffy.
Yeah, so if this ends up being approved I'd like to, I know that Executive Director Armstrong has mentioned that we're going to move this forward with our stationery and our, our website will be branded this way. This will be our brand. And so I'm excited about that. Some things down the future that I thought we could talk about would be having a coin minted at the state mint, which we did when I was at the Nevada Gaming Control Board. We actually had a coin logo minted, which you're laughing, but we actually got it done. And they were silver coins, which were kind of cool and commemorative. And so those are some things that down the road that we can do. I don't know why we would do that. We can go into that later. But just that this is a good step. We're not necessarily a law enforcement agency, although we do enforce laws. We have our own statute that we enforce. So, I know that some people like to have patches. So that's something that we could potentially discuss in the future. If the commission wants to do that, we can have patches made. And once again, this is to market us as a commission, and to make sure that when people see this logo, they know who it represents. And that was, once again, I'm belaboring the point, but the words integrity and trust, those definitely represent us in my mind. And I think that I'm glad to see that on this logo. I'll shut up now. Too many comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dufferin. Appreciate those comments. I hate to tell you this, but last I heard, the machine is broken, so it might be a while. They're having a hard time getting parts. So,
Not surprising.
yeah. With that, I will entertain a motion to recommend, we all agree, logo number 3 with maybe some tweaks to the color on it, around it. So I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll make that motion. And once again, thank you, staff, for getting us to this point.
I second Commissioner Grunwald, I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you all. Next item number 9, commissioner comments. Do I have any comments from my fellow commissioners of any future agenda items or just comments in general? Towler.
I did have a question. I was holding a date for December 8th. Is that?
Yes. Yes.
Keeping that date on?
Yes, please keep that date, because on November 30th, we were doing a personnel subcommittee. We've seen the resumes, and I think we've got they look good on paper. So if they present as good as they look on paper, I think we might have some people to send forward to the full commission. So
Great.
Please hold that date. And on that date as well, we will be doing a little something for Commission Counsel Chase, because that will be her last meeting. So we don't get teary-eyed. It's not December 8th yet. So, we'd like to have you there. And if we do the interviews, well, even still, we'd like to have the commissioners all present for that meeting. Okay, so keep it on your calendar and stuff. Any other comments? Vice Chair Dufferin, do you have?
Just wish everybody a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Oscarson, do you have any comments?
No, ma'am, everything's good here. Thank you for all the information and all the hard work everybody's done.
All right, thank you. I also want to go and congratulate one of our former commissioners, PK O'Neill, on his re-election to the Assembly. And he was also yesterday elected as the minority leader in the Assembly. So congratulations to our former Commissioner O'Neill. So we're glad he's out there helping Nevadans. All right, with that, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you on December 8th. And now I will go to public comment. Executive Director Armstrong, are there any members of the public here?
There are no members of the public here in attendance in Carson City.
Executive Director or Executive Assistant Pedroza.
We have not received any public comment during the meeting, and we have no, excuse me, no members of the public on Zoom.
Right, thank you. Right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
Commissioner Grunwald?
Second.
All right. God, they're ready to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Right, now we will be doing the panels. Yeah, but we'll reconnect and, well, for what it's worth, and it will just be myself, Commissioner Towler, and Commissioner Sheets if he joins us. All right, thank you, everybody.
Happy
Have a great
Thanksgiving,
holiday.
everyone.
Thank you.